Hi guys! Today I was sitting down to film a particular video which I've been planning to film for a while, and when I went to get started I gave it a bit of thought and I thought, maybe not everyone is going to be exactly familiar with what it is that I'm talking about here. Now that video was my ultimate OTPs. It kind of got me thinking that over the course of 2014 to 15 I have very much embraced my inner fangirl. I was what they call in internet speak a lurker. I would go on and read all this stuff and whatever, but I would never tweet anything about any of the ships that I was shipping or anything. But what I've come to realise over the past sort of 6 months to a year is that it's a huge part of my life. I am a massive television fan, we all know this, and I get very excited about my favourite TV shows and I love to be involved in the online conversation around them. I love to debate them, I love to talk about the characters and all of that stuff. And so why not just embrace my inner fangirl and then talk to you guys about it. So this video, as the title will have already told you, is going to be a glossary of fandom. Now this obviously isn't going to be an exhaustive list of terminology related to fandom, but they are just a few key terms. If you yourself had discovered recently that you are very invested in your favourite television shows and you have gone and sort of tried to dip your toe into the fandom pond, and you've come across all these terms that you're not entirely sure what they mean, I figured I would share my wisdom with you because over the past few years I have become a connoisseur of all things fandom and I know what these terms mean, so I figured why not share them with the internet? Okay, so just to get started from the very obvious point, fandom itself is a term that relates to the active fans of a particular show or movie series or book series, anything like that. The fans who are actively engaged in watching, discussing, reading about, talking about, sharing content about that particular show. So that's your kind of basic starting off point. The next one that I thought I would move on to, because I guess it's one that a lot of people have heard about, especially with things like 50 Shades of Grey becoming this massive success, is fan fiction. Fan fiction is pretty much what it says on the tin. It is fan-written stories surrounding the characters or the world of a particular TV show, book series, movie series. As I go on, I'm probably just going to say show because for me, I'm most invested in television fandom, but just do know that these terms do relate to books and movies and any sort of fictional text. Fanfiction is becoming hugely popular, as I'm sure that you have probably heard. As I said before, the 50 Shades of Grey series was based on Twilight fanfiction and it has become one of the biggest selling book series ever in the history of time, which I think goes to show the power of fanfiction in some instances. Now, I'm aware of fanfiction and I'm aware of what kind of goes on within the fanfiction community and some of the terminology, but I did try to do a little bit of additional research this morning just to come up with some extra terms to share with you. And there are a lot. So I'm not going to go into any great depth with fanfiction because there's so much. There's literally so many different terms that mean different things that I don't even know where to begin. So I am just going to say a couple of the most common ones or the most obvious ones. One word that you might see flying around in the fan community is the word canon, and that can be used to talk about the show itself or to talk about fan fiction. And something that is canon is something that has happened in the actual text, so something that has been accepted as a true thing that has happened in the text. A very basic example of something like that would be that Harry Potter is a young boy who discovers he's a wizard and goes to Hogwarts. That is canon, that is what happens in the actual text. So if you go to read a fanfiction story about your favourite show and it says that it is canon, that means that it is going to be based on real events from the show. Alternatively, you will maybe see the letters AU flying around in terms of fanfiction, and that means that it is alternate universe. So that means that the person who's written the fanfiction has taken the characters from your particular show or movie or whatever and placed them in their own world that they've created. So for example, that would be something like taking Harry Potter and instead of having him and Ron and Hermione be wizards who meet at Hogwarts, have them be kids who meet at a private boarding school somewhere fancy in Switzerland or something, and there's no magic in it whatsoever, they're just ordinary school kids and the magic element's been taken out of it. The last term that I'm going to talk about in terms of fanfiction is crossover, and that basically means that you have taken one show or one movie or whatever and crossed it over with another. So you could maybe do Once Upon a Time versus the Vampire Diaries crossover fanfiction where Emma Swan meets Damon Salvatore in the Enchanted Forest and chaos ensues, that kind of thing. Now, I'm sure this is one that people will probably be more familiar with, but just in case, if you hear the word ship, that relates to a couple in a show who you desperately want to be together. It's a shortened form of the word relationship. obviously, and it just means that they are a couple who you desperately want to be together. This word can be used in many different ways, so you can say that you ship someone. So if you ship a particular couple, so say you ship Ron and Hermione from Harry Potter, you want them to be together. The word can also be used to describe the couple, so you could say, oh, my ship is Ron and Hermione. Again, just using the same word for very similar reasons. The word shipper then refers to you yourself as the person who is shipping the particular couple. So if you say, I am a Delena shipper from the Vampire Diaries, whoever it is that you like, that's what that term means. And then the word shipping, which I've obviously used a few times throughout the past few sentences, relates to the actual act of wanting these people to get together. So if you are discussing it with other people, so if you go online and you have a conversation with other fans of the show about this particular couple that you particularly want to be together, you guys are shipping that couple. Then you can start to find crossovers with these things, because obviously not all ships are real. So you will have canon ships, so that's bringing back the terms from the fan fiction. So canon ships, so couples who are actually together in the real version of the text. And then there are ships that haven't actually happened, so it's characters that you want to get together but you don't necessarily know that they are going to be together. So you can ship as many different characters within a TV show, book series, movie series, whatever, as you like. But when it comes right down to it, there's always going to be one that is the one that means the most to you. And that is what OTP means. It stands for one true pairing, and means that it's the couple in that particular universe who you think are the best suited, perfect couple that you just, if there was only one couple to be together at the end of the show, if the rest of them were all to split up and there was only one left standing, that is the couple who you would want to be together at the end of the show. And then in relation to that, we have the term endgame, which basically means the couple or couples that you believe will genuinely be together at the end of the show, no matter what happens throughout the series, no matter how many times people break up or get back together, or, you know, obstacles get in their way. You believe they'll be together at the end. I think probably one of the couples that people felt this way about the most in famous television would be Ross and Rachel in Friends. So they liked each other and they got together and then they split up and they got back together and split up, and there's so many backwards and forwards and toing and froing with Ross and Rachel, but people always believed that in the end they would find their way back to each other, and that is what endgame basically means. So for you, you could really ship one particular couple. So for me, this is slightly spoilery. This is Gossip Girl spoiler. So if you have not seen Gossip Girl, you maybe want to fast forward like 10 seconds or something. But for me, I shipped Dan and Blair, and they were my like Gossip Girl OTP. But I believed that Chuck and Blair were going to be endgame because they'd invested so much time in that couple that I knew that they would be together at the end. And the last couple of terms that I wanted to go over, one is in relation to fan fiction and sort of fan engagement. So fan vids are fan-made videos, which you can find on YouTube or Tumblr or anywhere like that, where people have taken clips from the show and like clips of their favourite characters and whatever, and built them together into like essentially a music video style video. Some of these are incredible. I won't even lie, I've watched tons of these, and some of them are so good. I'm actually going to link in the description box below a couple of my favourite like fan videos. There's one for Gossip Girl and one for Once Upon a Time, and they are so good. They are so well done that you look at it and you're like, this person, whoever they are, should have a job in editing because they've done such a good job with this. And then related to that, you have fan art, so you have fan drawings and fan made like graphics and whatever that you find, GIFs and that kind of thing that you can find on Pinterest and Tumblr and all that kind of stuff. Tumblr is like fandom central. If you want to go on there and have a look through all the different tags for various shows and films and stuff, you will find more stuff than you will ever have time to go through. So yeah, fan art is basically stuff that people have put together, photos and images and graphics and drawings, that kind of thing surrounding their favourite show. And the last term that I wanted to talk about, because I think that it's sad that it happens, but it does happen, and if you spend any time invested in online fandom, you will come across it, but that is ship wars. That basically refers to when there is more than one ship that a large group of people are on board with in a particular show or film or whatever, who actively, aggressively disagree with each other online, and so there will be arguments on Twitter and Tumblr and all these kind of things about whose ship is the best one. That obviously then becomes complicated when you've got instances where there is a canon ship, so a ship that is actually happening in the show, and then characters who a part of the audience really want to get together. They can become very heated, and people can be quite unpleasant, as they can be in all areas of the internet. You find trolls who say horrible things, but yeah, ship wars can get quite nasty. One of the worst ever I think that I have seen was the Dan and Blair versus Chuck and Blair fan war on Gossip Girl. That was terrible. And at the moment there are a lot of there's a massive fan shipping war going on for Once Upon a Time. I won't go into which characters it surrounds because if you've not watched it I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, there's a lot going on there. So that's it for my little glossary of fandom. I hope that you enjoyed that. If you are a fan of TV shows and whatever and you get involved in the online fandoms and there are any terms that you think are important that I've missed, do share your definitions of different terms so that people can have a look at that as well as the ones that I've covered. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope that you're having a lovely day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up because I really enjoyed filming this, and have a great day. I'll speak to you again soon. Bye. I guess this is a tag kind of inspired by YouTube turning 10 years old, and it just wants to speak to creators and people who upload videos on YouTube and ask them why they started on YouTube.